What's up, Joe? What's up, everybody? I'm Jeff Fannell, and this is Sports360. You know, interviews with established sports professionals have value, as the experiences and insights from veterans of the business can inform and inspire many. However, I'm a firm believer that we all have valuable experiences that can help someone else. So in addition to talking with veterans in the sports world, here at Sports 360, we also talk to rising stars, young people who are clearly on their way up in the sports industry. Today, we are joined by our first rising star, Samantha Ojo. Samantha is a rising 3L at St. John's University School of Law, my alma mater. But it's not just the school connection that brings us together today. It's the fact that Samantha is well on her way to making her mark in the sports industry. And when she does, you'll be able to say, I heard about her first on Sports 360. I'm pleased right now to have with me on Sports 360 Samantha Ojo. Samantha is a rising 3L at St. John's University School of Law, and she is the first of what we believe will be many rising stars that we will have on Sports 360 from time to time. But she is the first one. And so, Samantha, glad to have you with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's we're finally getting into that summertime feel. I know you're happy that finals are over, right?
Thrilled.
And your summer has begun. And so I'm sure you have to be thrilled about that, as now you only have 1 year in front of you.
Yeah, I am so excited, but it's also just so surreal. I feel like I was starting one out just yesterday, and I really am confused how I'm here.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But as we were talking a little bit earlier, though, yeah, now that you have 2 years under your belt, it's sort of downhill skiing, right? You just have to, get back in and once the semester begins and finish out the year. But you'll have some time for that. Congratulations on finishing your second year, and now you're into your second summer. And I want to talk, maybe start there. As I mentioned, you're a rising 3L at St. John's University School of Law. And of course, full disclosure, that's my alma mater, right? So, of course, I have to give a shout out to St. John's. Um, but right now, you started a summer clerkship or summer associate position with Seyfarth Shaw, correct?
Yes, I am going to be I started on Monday actually in the labor group at Sci-Farth, so I'm doing labor and employment this summer for the firm.
Now, you've done something pretty unique with Seyfarth, right? Because this is your second stint with them. After your first year, you also had a summer associate position with them, and now they invited you back for a second. That's something that doesn't happen too often, right?
Right. I was really fortunate last year. They created a unique partnership with MetLife that was just for 1Ls. So I spent half of my summer at Sci-Farth in the labor group with the rest of their 2L class. And then I spent the last 4 weeks working in-house for MetLife, which is one of their clients. So it was, not only a great learning experience in terms of the legal work I was doing, it was great to be able to see life at the firm and then life working in-house and how the two companies work together.
Right. Now, I just want to make sure. Now, I was saying Seyfarth. How do you pronounce the name of the firm?
Yes, it's Sci-Farth.
Okay, so it's Seyfarth. Okay, I don't
Yes,
want to get
but
that.
it's
I
very
don't.
common.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm St. John's. I got to get it right, right? I got to come correct. So Seyfarth. Now,
Always.
now, what kind of firm, if you were to describe Seyfarth, um, how would you describe it for those who may not be familiar with, the type of firm, the level of prestige, and that type of thing?
It's a full service firm. There's almost 1,000 attorneys, so in that sense, it's definitely big law to its core. But other than that, it is so unique. It's a Chicago-based firm. There's offices all across the globe. They just opened up a new office in Hong Kong, so they really have a global impact. And the firm culture, I've never seen anything like it. Everyone is so kind, so courteous. They, the big emphasis is on treating each other well, treating the support staff incredibly well. There's a saying that, you don't send emails, you don't give client advice saying the word I, you say we. And there's also a big effort to make everything seamless between every office. So, whether it's a WebEx between someone in Chicago and someone in Hong Kong, it feels like you're in the same room. So they really prioritize not only, the client experience and the clients having a really great view of the firm, but also the lawyers, the support staff, everyone who works within is really just proud to be, associated with Cypress because they place just the human element so highly.
One of the things you just said, that you don't send an email saying I, you say we. Seems like a small thing, but that's actually, it's a powerful thing, right? Because it reminds you subconsciously as you write that I'm part of a team and we're in this together, and it's not just about me. And I think that's really important, to learn and to learn early. And I don't know, if many other firms do that, but that to me is something that really is important, because if you're representing a client, it's the we. It sometimes includes the team that's doing the representation, but also it's also good that the client understands there's a we too.
Right.
And that it's you're not just beating your chest a little bit talking about I. So I find that interesting. So I take it by the way you have described the firm that you enjoy your work there.
I really do. I got so much experience last summer, even as a 1L. They gave me, real work. There's no time to make up projects and give softballs, so I spent a lot of time doing real legal work. I got to learn a lot about New York's new paid family leave, which just rolled out January 1st of this year. So I really got my hands dirty and got a lot of great experience. And also I just made really great relationships there. Every partner, every associate has their door open, is willing to help you. Everyone's on a first name basis there. So, even the most senior partner is just willing to chat with you and help you along your way. So I have had a fantastic experience there, and I'm very happy to be back for this summer.
Right. Now, you worked at Cypher. Now, this is your second summer, but you've also had some experience working for the National Football League as a law clerk, and for the NFLPA at some point. You were an executive intern a few years ago. So, when it comes to sports, and we're going to talk a little bit about your background. We haven't delved into that yet, but I know from talking with you, over the past several months that you have an interest in sports law. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
Definitely. So in terms of background, I have been an athlete my whole life. I started playing soccer when I was 3 and did that all the way up until I was 17. And then in undergrad at USC, Southern Cal, I ran track there. So definitely being an athlete is in my blood, and I've always been drawn to sports. I knew that I always wanted to incorporate that in my career as well. So after I graduated, I made my way to DC, where I interned at the NFLPA, like you said, and that was such a fantastic experience. I didn't quite know about labor law and union work and everything that went into it until I got there, and that's when I really learned just how much goes into, quote unquote sports law. I had the opportunity to work on foundations. I lobbied on Capitol Hill. I did a lot of public policy work and then just traditional legal work. So being able to see just how many avenues there were in terms of the laws behind sports was extremely amazing. And then this past semester, I had the ability to work at the NFL league office here in New York. And I did, a complete opposite of what I had been doing there. I went to the transactional side. So I did a lot of IP work. I learned all about their trademark protection and their copyright work, but also some internal workings. I did software agreements, and just it's such a blessing to be able to have such a full picture of what goes into professional sports, considering my, serious interest. So those two internships have been amazing.
When I was in law school, I had an opportunity. Well, not when I was in law school. When I was at undergrad, I had an opportunity to work at the NFL, and then in law school, I worked at the MLBPA as a law clerk. And there are some, because of the way labor is divided, right? You have players on one side, you have management on the other, and there are some who say pick your side. I'm a believer that if you're a student, the premium is put on getting experience. And so if you're going to get experience, if there's an opportunity to work on the labor side, then you should take it. If there's an opportunity to work on management side, you should take it. You're a student, and I think you need to get the experience. Not everybody agrees with that. Now you've done both, so apparently you fall into that camp as well. Did you at any point think that, okay, I worked at the NFLPA, so now I can't take the position at the NFL because I was on the player side, so now I have to stay here?
I've definitely heard a lot of people share that sentiment of, well, you have to pick a side. It's either one or the other. There's no middle ground. And I refuse to let that stop me, honestly. Like you said, I wanted to get as much experience as possible. I wanted to learn as much about the field and the business and just the law as a whole as possible. And my mentor from the NFLPA, actually, he's always said in every conversation, like, there needs to be good people on both sides. Doesn't matter what side you're on, as long as you're doing great work and you're trying to, advance the purposes of the sport, advance the game. And I've really taken that to heart. Luckily, as a student, I can play both sides, and I'm very excited to have that opportunity because you just learn so much from, the league office and the union. You see how they work together. You kind of hear the development of ideas on both sides, and that's a really great opportunity. I'm very thankful because I know most people haven't been able to see both sides, like you said.
Right. Now, you mentioned that you were an athlete at Southern Cal. You ran track. What event?
I ran the 400 and I triple jumped.
Okay. And has your experience as an athlete benefited you in any way as you transition now to the legal side of sports?
I honestly think in more ways than I can even describe, it's benefited me. In terms of my work ethic, I'm used to waking up at 5 a.m. to go run hills and go lift. So I don't let being tired or feeling uncomfortable stop me from doing the work that needs to be done. So I'm very thankful for that. And then in terms of just relating to the field, relating to the people I'm working with and for, it's really great to be able to know, what these players are experiencing, what they're going through, how demanding training is, how much time they need to spend in the training room, and how they might not have time for things, but also knowing what specific concerns they might have that, the average person who never competed in high-level sports might not think of. So I think, being an athlete myself, even though I didn't go professional, provided me with a lot of intangibles that kind of connect me to the sports world, and then having that legal knowledge and being able to combine them, on top of my own drive and just knowledge about the actual facts of the game has been really helpful.
Now, you mentioned work ethic. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to, I have in front of me your resume. Okay. No, it's all good. It's all good. But, you're you're rising 3L at St. John's. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to read off your activities here. Right?
Okay.
You're a teaching assistant to Dean Michael Simon, which is always a good thing to be a teaching assistant to the dean of the law school. That's a way to get in good. You're the president of the Labor Relations and Employment Law Society. Director of Alumni Relations for the Black Law Students Association. You're a member of the Corporate and Securities Law Society, the Entertainment and Sports Law Society, which I think you're the incoming president for that, right?
No, just for the Labor Society.
Oh, just for the labor. Okay. So you're a member of the Entertainment and Sports Law Society as well, student ambassador on the admissions committee. You're a contributor to the Forum newspaper, and you write a blog for the Labor Relations and Employment Law. And besides that, you don't do anything else in law school. And you still manage to maintain good grades. Now, um, how do you manage though, really, to be involved in so many activities, and what is the benefit of doing, I wouldn't say as much as what you're doing, but just being involved in extracurriculars?
I physically just do not know how to stay still. I get so restless if I have any downtime. So honestly, I've just been trained to be busy and to help out and do whatever I can. So that is what initially led me to get involved in so many things. But I was honestly just so excited when I got to St. John's that they had all these opportunities. I think St. John's has an extraordinarily high number of labor classes and events around labor and employment law. So I was really excited to get involved there as soon as I can and kind of hit the ground running as a 1L. Attended a conference through the Labor Society during my second month. In terms of my BALSA, my Black Law Students Association involvement, I've always been really committed to diversity in the law. African Americans are very underrepresented, and I like doing whatever I can to help people who are coming behind me who, might not have the same opportunities that I did, to see if I can advise them on classes, advise them on going to law school as a whole. So my passion for most of the things I do is really what drives me and gives me the energy to keep doing all of them. And my interest in, entertainment law and corporate law allows me to get involved in those societies too. In terms of the benefits, I can't speak highly enough about getting involved. Not only are you meeting like-minded individuals who are interested in what you're interested in, and you can network within your own class. You're meeting individuals in the field, you're meeting professionals, you're finding mentors through these organizations. And, oftentimes you're also giving back to younger students or college students. And I think all of those things are quintessential to my success. And I'm just, blessed that I'm able to just keep going and kind of keep running.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. And speaking of networking, um, give us your thoughts about, effective networking for a student. Uh, what types of things to do, what types of things to avoid, and then if there's anything in particular that, has worked for you, why don't you share that with us as well?
I can't stress the importance of networking enough, honestly. The legal field as a whole is just so small. Everyone knows everyone, and the fact that you can get connected to, some of your legal idols by having a conversation with someone else is so huge. And I would never let that opportunity pass. So my tricks and tips, I made sure coming in as a 1L that every dean, every professor that I came in contact with knew what I was interested in, knew that I wanted to pursue labor and employment, knew about my interest in sports, and asked them how they could help me get there. As a law student, everyone is so willing to help, willing to give you advice, and they want to see you succeed. So it just makes so much sense to me to let everyone know what my plans are, see how they can help, and, eventually see how I can help them once I get to that next level. This doesn't just go for practicing attorneys. I think networking within your class is really important. I love, sharing opportunities with my classmates. If I see something that people are interested in, I make sure to send it to them and, let them know so they can have that opportunity. One of my good friends is interested in IP law, and last year I sent him a scholarship, some IP law related scholarship, and a year later he sent me an email that he got this $10,000 scholarship just based on an email that I sent him. So it's just
Wow.
so amazing the power of, the power that we have, not only as students in terms of learning and getting new opportunities, but in terms of helping each other. So networking, I'm kind of shy naturally with networking. It just really makes me come alive because just so much good can come out of it.
Sure. And you said something important, and at the outset, you said you made it a point to share with professors and other faculty what your interests were, and that you were interested in the labor and employment side and sports and all the rest of that, and that is so important to do because many times there are people who are willing to, and really more than willing, to lend a hand to you, but they can't if they don't know what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly.
And so once you share that with people, then they know, because if something comes across their desk or to their attention that fits your interest or your aspiration, they now have the opportunity to reach out to you and share that with you. But if you
Exactly.
don't share your interest with them first, they don't know. So that's really some good advice there, to make sure that you let people know what it is that you're looking to do. Um, so you talked a little bit about, you didn't use the word, but mentors, because you talked about sharing things with one else, and you want to be there for them and help them along. And that's mentorship, right? That's really taking someone under your wing and letting them, you know, gain from your experience. Um, Give us a little bit more of your thoughts on being a mentor and then also having a mentor yourself.
I like to joke that I force people to be my mentors just because I think having a mentor in your field is so crucial. Not only has that person been through what you've been through, but they've definitely had success in the field and they can advise you on, what they wish they knew at your age and what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So it's honestly like having a cheat code and knowing the answers ahead of the game. So mentorship is just so key. I've been very excited to be a mentor to the 1Ls, like you said, just because, coming in, there were a lot of things. I was a biology major in undergrad. So there were a lot of things I just didn't know about law school and how to take law school exams. So once I figured those things out and once I figured out certain professors, I was sure to give back to others and pass that information along, pass along my outlines. But in terms of professional mentors, I have had so many that have just been impactful from the very beginning of my legal career. I started working at a really small firm when I was 16 or 15 in Los Angeles, and the managing partner of that firm is my mentor to this day. I have mentors from pretty much every job that I've had, and then I have mentors that I was lucky to get just by networking, like yourself. I don't know if you remember, but I asked a recent grad of St. John's. I told him what I did or told him what I wanted to do, and within 2 minutes he connected me to you via email, and here we are. And
Mm-hmm.
the impact that you alone have had on my legal career has been tremendous. So I cannot stress once again enough how important it is to find a mentor in the field, find a mentor who can guide you to the right people, down the right path, and, give you the right habits that you need to cultivate.
Sure. Now, I've been in the habit of sharing with, students and young professionals that the people in the sports industry, and I'm only speaking from my experience, but the people in the sports industry are some of the most gracious people that I've come across, and even in other aspects of the legal profession, more so than many would think. And if you would reach out, send an email, make a phone call, go up after a panel discussion and introduce yourself and, ask questions and engage in further dialogue, that you would be surprised how open and receptive and helpful those professionals would be. Has that been your experience?
I agree 100%. I think from, recent grads who are in the field to executive directors of unions and of leagues, everyone has been so forthcoming, so willing to talk, so willing to give advice. While they may have tremendously busy schedules, everyone that I've contacted has helped me in some way. Everyone has responded and reached back and has been excited that I'm excited about their career. I know I've learned from my experience that people respond really well to genuine excitement and interest in their work. So, sending an excited email or going up to them after a panel and asking a follow-up question, or just thanking them for their time and telling them that their legal career has inspired yours always has a positive effect. And I've never had someone that, refused to talk to me or didn't want to give me insight into their career, into sports or law or anything, because people are, when you're a genuine person, you have genuine interest, people are really receptive to that.
Right. Now, you had joked a little while ago that you said that you forced people to be your mentors. How do you go
Yeah.
about doing that?
It starts with my usual of just telling them what I want to do, but also I just really am genuinely interested in how a lot of these successful attorneys just operate. So honestly, I just ask questions. I ask if I can help them with anything. If it's someone that I'm working for, I ask if there's any projects I can assist on, or any, depositions or phone calls I can sit in on. And I just really make sure to find people who are doing things that I find really interesting and let them know that I just want to learn from them and help them. And honestly, even if it comes down to them being busy and them not having time in that moment, it always circles back to where I get an opportunity to talk to them. I have, started a nice mentorship with one of the partners at my firm now, who does traditional labor work and has some sports experience. And he's so willing to bring me in on new projects. I sat in on a really good call with him today for a foundation he advises for a former athlete. And it's just, letting people know what you're interested in and also offering your services in whatever capacity kind of turns into a natural mentorship. And then I just like to throw in the word so that they know they're my mentor officially.
Just in case they didn't get the point, right?
Right. Just to let them know.
Okay, that's good stuff. What about role models? Do you have any role models, people that you have identified as role models for you in the sports industry?
I do. On the legal side, it's really funny. When I think I was about 15 or 16, I was reading the Forbes 30 under 30 list, and I saw this attorney who, worked at a big firm, and she worked on Sports Matters. Her name's Megha Parekh, and she was one of the youngest people on there, and she was just killing the game in terms of sports at her firm, and then she transitioned to actually be the general counsel of the Jaguars. And I don't have the numbers, but there are extremely, extremely few women of color who serve as GCs for professional sports teams. So I've kind of followed her career, and I've always been super interested.
What is her
And
name again?
second,
Because I don't know how if I didn't hear it clearly, so I don't know if those who are listening, what is her name again?
oh, sorry, her name is Megha Parekh,
Okay.
and she's with the Jaguars. So she was my first kind of legal role model. And then the second is Michelle Roberts, who is the current executive director of the NBA Players Association. She's the first woman in that role, and she's also a woman of color. So being able to see these women achieving such high, accolades in sports, in male-dominated sports and, male professional leagues is just so exciting to me. So both of them have really kind of shaped my career without even knowing it.
And it's so powerful to see others who, you may have something in common with, whether it's, as you said here, to see women of color making their way in a male-dominated industry. And it has to be inspiring, right, for others. I know over the years when I was teaching and teaching as an adjunct law professor, I had many, young ladies who were students who would come up to me and say, how do I make it in this industry? I'm interested in being a sports agent, or I'm interested in this aspect of the industry or that aspect of the industry. But they were really concerned as to whether or not there was an open door for them.
Right.
And that's why I think it is so important, that when we see others, when we see women breaking through and having, like for example, Becky Hammon, right? There's a lot of
Exactly.
talk about her, becoming the first female head coach in the NBA.
Exactly.
And all signs point to it happening one day. That's going to be a watershed moment, right?
Right.
When baseball finally gets its first female GM, that's going to be a watershed moment, and it's coming, and it should come, right? So
Right.
that's something that I think is very inspiring. And even though I'm an African American male, I'm still rooting for that to happen because at the end of the day, for me, it's about excellence, it's about competence, it's about quality of performance, and that knows no color, no gender, right? And if it's there, it should be rewarded.
Exactly. I completely agree. And, representation is so key. So just by having, women and minorities in these roles, you open it up, like you said, to so many more who suddenly think, hey, I can do that too. Hey, this isn't a closed door for me. So I'm very excited as we, continue to move towards those developments. And I think it's going to be great.
So do I. Now, talking about it's going to be great. Um, what do you have in mind in terms of your career? Like, what are your aspirations? Because I know you have great ideas, great aspirations, but what are some of the things that are on your list that right now, as you sit as a rising 3L, you say to yourself, this is what I would like to accomplish in my career?
So many things. Right now, I really just want to become, a good lawyer. I want to become a good trial attorney or whatever path I end up on. But I definitely know I want to stay in labor and employment. So I really want to get those skills, be proficient in advising clients and, handling court appearances, working on briefs and judges. So I really want to get the nuts and bolts, and I really want to master all of those things for the immediate future. Long term, I know there are so many paths that I could go down, but I definitely am interested in labor and employment. I've had a great time learning as much as I have about the field. So I would love to stay within the field. When it comes time, if I could add sports to my repertoire, whether that is, having sports related clients at a firm or working for an entity like the NFL Management Council or like the NFL Players Association, I would love to be able to connect the dots between sports and labor in some way down the line. I have, like you said before, I've had the ability to see both sides, and now that I'm at a large firm, I get to see the interaction there as well. So I know that whatever path I go down, I just want to be able to make the most impact and, have a really great career for myself where I'm helping clients, I'm helping others, but I'm also giving back to younger attorneys, giving back to law students, and just kind of blazing a new trail and showing people that you really can have it all.
Man, it's not like you figured this thing out. Because,
I'm trying. I'm certainly trying.
no, but really, you said so many good things there. And the very first thing that you said to me is perhaps one of the most important. You said, I want to be a good attorney, right? I want to be a good lawyer. And that was something that, I was told by Gene Orza at the Players
Um,
Association when I clerked there in my third year of law school. He said, we don't hire straight out of law school. He said, you need to go out there and learn how to be the lawyer. And it was the best advice I had. I mean, look, I wasn't going to get the job anyway. They said they don't hire, but it was the part about go out there and learn how to be a lawyer. And
exactly.
and that is what I focused on. I said, okay. And I went about my work and I wanted to be diligent. I wanted to learn everything that I could, soak it up. And so when you said that, it really resonated with me. And I'm hoping it resonates with those who are listening, especially those who are in law school or thinking about entering law school. Focus on becoming a good lawyer. Get the skills because I say this to people all the time. They can take your job away from you, but once you get your skills, they're yours to keep. And
Right.
then you can take them with you as you go on down the road. So that was really some good stuff there. So um, yeah, I mean, and see, this is why I have you on today, right? As part of the Rising Stars, right?
Thank
You know,
you.
some are going to say, it's because she goes to St. John's and he went to St. John's. That's part of it, but it's not even that. The more important thing is because, again, I've had the opportunity to, we've talked over the, I don't know, year or so that when we first made the connection, and I've come out and to St. John's at programs that you put on as part of the Sports and Entertainment Law Society. I've seen you around town at other events, right? You were at the
Right.
New York City Bar Association at a recent event on a rainy Monday night in late April. You know what I mean? Where a lot of law students may not do that. So, I see and I hear, all the things that you're doing, and I really believe you are a rising star. And so I wanted to have you on here to share. And I think you've shared a lot, and I hope that people are inspired by what they've heard.
I really appreciate that. It's definitely a grind, but it is so humbling and such a blessing to hear people who are as successful and just as kind as you say that I'm on the right path. So I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, you are. I'm telling you, a few years down the line, people are going to be talking about Samantha Ojo, and if they mention you to me, I'm going to tell them you heard about them first on Sports 360.
Heard it
Just
first.
admit it. Yeah, just admit it. You know it's true.
Exactly. I'll say it too.
That's right. But listen, it's really been good having you uh, on today, and look forward to seeing how things shape up for you as you go through the summer and then finish up your third year at St. John's. But I think you have a bright future ahead. So just keep doing what you're doing. Be encouraged, be inspired, because you certainly are on the right course.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it and just appreciate the opportunity to talk about it.
Sure. Glad to have you here, Samantha Ojo. Is Samantha Ojo impressive or what? She's talented, has a tremendous work ethic, is generous with her time with underclassmen, and she is actively working out her plan to enter the sports industry. I have no doubt that she has what it takes to be a success. For the students and young professionals out there who have aspirations for a career in sports, I hope you were encouraged by our conversation with Samantha and that you use it as further inspiration to continue on your own path. That's it for this edition of Sports 360, but we'll be back soon with another Rising Stars segment, so be sure to stay tuned. For now, we're out as our man Scully takes us home.